20th February, 9:23 a.m. An interesting specific time, and we're back in the Old Bailey. Well, I never expected this. Who would have thought we'd be back here again so soon? We are on the study tour of Great Britain, with the intention of learning the country's legal practices. In order to research the latest proceedings here, we need as much court experience as possible. Oh yes, I suppose. That's true, but for the person in the dock, it won't be as his or her only time in court, and that could be life-changing. In case, threatening as research may be a little crass. Oh, when you put it like that, you're quite right. Good morning. Ah, Mr. Natsume. Good morning. Oh dear, are you alright? Your eyes are terribly bloodshot. The early bird catches the worm, as they say here in Britain. Yes, I've heard that expression. I don't want to catch a worm. So I tried desperately not to wake it up early. But I was so worried I couldn't catch a wink. And now, I'm absolutely exhausted as a result. Do all literary people take things so literally? That's funny. Thank you for putting in faith in us today, Mr. Natsume. I wish I had 9 lives. My whole future hangs in the balance. I'm too terrified to tremble. Really? Because I can feel tremors in the floor. I can't do this. I can't take it. Although, welcome student Mr. Naruhodo Esquire. Yes? I caught a glimpse of the public gallery as I walked by the courtroom. I looked at the opening night of the opera. There were so many people. I had no idea what the cause of the notorious affair here in London. Oh, neither did I. Do you know why that might be, Mr. Sato? I'm sorry, Mr. Naruhodo, but I have no idea. So that all-knowing look on your face is just coincidence, then. Won't hide the truth from me. It's because of the Reaper, isn't it? Lord Von Zykes? Is that right, Mrs. Sato? I purchased many different newspapers as I could this morning, and yes, Lord Von Zykes is on the front page of every one. I knew it! Sometime after the prosecutor was dubbed the Reaper Bailey, he stopped appearing in court, it seems. It's been several years now, in fact, until the day before yesterday. Yes, Inspector Gregson told us something similar, didn't he? The trial 2 days ago marked Lord Von Zykes' return to the courtroom after a very long hiatus. The trial of Magnus McGilded. What a harrowing experience that was. I believe that appearance made even greater waves here in the capital than today's. But we wouldn't have realized, of course, having only just arrived in the country. Why the Reaper back in the Bailey so soon for what appears to be a mundane murder? That's the question the papers were asking, and they are all speculating various answers. Mundane? It's the most significant saga of the century of Samus. Oh dear, I meant no offense, Mr. Natsume, but that is how papers are describing it. Well, lest we forget about the fact it could spark an international incident. Obviously, the reappearance of this infamous prosecutor has caught people's attention. There's another blatant similarity with the trial of the 2 days ago. Yes, I agree. Welcome student Mr. Naruhodo Esquire. It's you! Me? Well, I suppose that's true. Both times, it is you who stands against this legendary prosecutor. It can only mean that you're friends with the Reaper! Please, don't rub shoulders with Deathbringers. I'm afraid that there's really one other explanation. It can only be another example, Miss Naruhodo, of your uncommon bad luck. Thanks for that. Oh, this is just my luck. Why am I spirit represented by a man who has such a frail fortune? By the least lucky lawyer alive! Okay, you did actually start with the same lawyer that time. It was you, Mr. Natsume, who asked me to represent you. Yes, it's true that I'm just a student. Near London with little experience or skills. But I promise you this. I will fight for your corner until the bitter end. And I will believe in you, Mr. Natsume. Oh, benevolent locum student, Mr. Naruhodo Esquire. You're not alone here with us, Mr. Natsume. Whatever happens, we will always be on your side. Oh, benevolent locum student, Mr. Mikotoba Esquire. I am your bet! Forever! I shall never forget this great kindness as long as I live. Mr. Natsume, court counsel to the defense. Court session is about to begin. Kindly make your way into the courtroom at once. Alright then, Mr. Natsume, it's time. Let's go. Yes! This is it. My second appearance in the British courtroom. And my second trial against the Reaper. I hope you're watching over me, Kazuma. Because this time, I won't let my faith waver. I'll believe in my client to the last. Just like you believed in me. I believe I can do this now. I'm ready for this fight. 20th February, yada yada yada, 10 a.m. Darn it, why are these green texts so slow? And we have... Wait, Mr. Fairplay is in the jury! In the name of Her Majesty the Queen, I declare this courtroom now in session. I now call upon the counsel for the prosecution and defense to declare their willingness to proceed. The prosecution is fully prepared, my lord. The defense is ready, my lord. The Nipponese are truly fascinating breed. Sorry, what? He's making a comment. What's wrong has told me all about you. That you are a student who arrived in London but 2 days ago. A mere amateur. Oh, do you have a point? Being a compatriot, you do feel compelled to try to help the accused, I suppose. Typical Nipponese arrogance. Forgive me, but I do not believe arrogance is appropriate description. Zatsu-san. After all, at our previous encounter, the defendant was found to be innocent. It's Nipponese, I believe. Very true, and most fascinating, if a dark trial it was too. A tragic conclusion came to later, of course. Here's to an acquitted, and his unfortunate violent end. Thank you, counsels. I see both sides are in fine fettle. Now, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, are you ready to carry out your duties here in court as you impartial members of the public? You never know when you might be down on your luck, but I believe fair play for everyone. Well, I must warn you, I'm rather more ruthless than I appear. Oh well, not me. What you see is what you get. I'm a peace-loving fellow. I'm afraid to say, I think it's quite possible that the mustached foreigner did the deed. Come on, what are you waiting for? No daddy dead anyway. Sorry. I didn't quite catch that. Very well, let us proceed. Your opening statement, if you please, Lord Von Zykes. And it happens that 2 of the jurors are people we know now. Very recently, Brave Brain signed alliance with the Breathing Power in the Far East. The accused in the dock today is a student from the same land, a certain Mr. Saki Natsume. And while our country has extended this foreign student in the warmest of welcomes, regrettably, the kindness has not been returned. In fact, the student is accused of the most sinister act. I'm plunging the knife in the back of the innocent woman who was doing nothing but walking down the street. And he threw a glass again. A knife crime? I'll tell you about a better experience. Those are the worst. Bloody oath they are. Let's look at the sallow complexion and short stature. He's one of the dreadful Japanese. Come on, let's get this over with. With me now, everyone. 1, 2, 3. Sorry. Didn't quite catch that. Pray, forgive the discourtesy of smashing my hallowed chalice in this great chamber. That's not their first time. Are you out? Allow me to call the first witness to the stand. Very well. Lead the inspector, please. Your name and occupation, please. Yes, sir. Tobias Gregson, Detective Inspector in Scotland Yard. Would you please summarize the events of the case for the court, Inspector? The victim was thought to be a young woman in her 20s by the name of Olive Green. Beg your pardon, Inspector. Thought to be? Yes, having been stabbed in the back by her attacker's knife, the victim fell unconscious. 3 days ago now, and she's been comatose ever since. What? So they don't even know who she is for sure? Comatose. I see. But her life is not in danger? Fortunately for the Eastern student, the charge will not be murder. Pray, elaborate on the details, Inspector. Sir, if I could ask everyone to look at this street map. I have mentioned, the incident took place 3 days ago, around 5 in the afternoon. It happened on the day of pavement running alongside Briar Road, a wide thoroughfare for the horse-drawn vehicles. An honestly stopped snowing since the victim, Miss Green, was walking down the street. Out of the blue, she was approached from behind by the accused, stabbed in the back. Luckily, the young lady's life was spared, and she's currently being treated in one of the city's hospitals. Being unconscious as she is, we've been unable to take a statement from her, of course. It's the case with everything we know about the victim so far. Thank you, Inspector. The court will accept the documents as evidence, if you please. What of the weapon that was used? Sir, I have it here. It was removed from the victim's back. Ouch. That big thing is starting to make me scared to walk down the street now. With a heavy blade like that, almost anyone would have been able to stab the poor woman. Even the scragged-looking Soseki-san, I suppose? A common or garden jackknife. I would rather nondescript. Thank you, Inspector. The courtroom accepts the blade as evidence. Now then, what do we know of the motive? Money or valuables? Valuables, I presume? But we can tell by looking at the woman's possessions, it seems that she was a poor student herself. Hard to imagine she would have anything much worth pinching, my lord. Let's see, well in that case, we're looking at some deep-stayed resentment toward the victim? I'm afraid I couldn't say. Apart from visiting second-hand bookshops, the defendant, Mr. Natsume, doesn't appear to get out much. At this moment in time, we haven't been able to establish any sort of connections between him and the victim.
Yes!
The theft and grievance had been ruled out as the motive. What reason could Miss Natsume possibly have had for stabbing the young woman? Theory serial killing? Yet you arrested the man in spite of that, in totally unjustified and heavy-handed way.
Objection!
Okay, he threw the whole glass that time. Pray forgive the discourtesy of flinging the freshly uncorked bottle into the public gallery. he did throw it with a public... Also, my dog is outside. As I was saying about the public gallery, but your words have sourced in the hallowed bouquet. He threw the wine glass at a bunch of people. It is for you, my learned friend, who is being heavy-handed there. What? Scotland Yard does not make arrest people without good cause. That should be beyond question. Inspector Gregson, the prosecution calls for your formal testimony. Explain to the court precisely what why the constabulary came to arrest the Nipponese student. Yes, sir. As I said, it was 5 o'clock in the afternoon when the incident occurred, and there was an unusually light fog. Visibility was reasonably good, and there was no one else about but the victim and the cursed. Out of the blue, the victim was stabbed from behind and subsequently collapsed on the pavement. The cursed ran off, scattering his belongings all over the floor. Those being a number of old books he just bought, he was on his way home from bookshop, it seems. It was just a matter of working out who the books belonged to, and we found out the bloke who arrested him. Old books, you say? Yes, my lord. I have a photograph here of the scene of the crime, taken immediately after the incident. Ah yes, I can clearly see the books to which you are referring. I will take that photographic print as evidence, please, Inspector. Your Nipponese are a spineless breed, too cowardly to admit defeat. Denying everything despite overwhelming evidence to your contrary. Well, forgive me, my Lord Von Zykes, but the defendant is not denying everything, as you put it. What are you doing, Mrs. Sato? Do go on. Mr. Natsume admitted to playing some part in the incident. Isn't that right, Mr. Naruhodo? Oh, now you mention it. When we visited him in the prison yesterday, he did tell us what all had happened. As I was walking along that accursed...
Yeah, you have a Mongo-sized pork chop you can have.
Right. As I was saying, I could make a sole silhouette of another threat ahead of me. A woman wearing a green overcoat she was, and as I went to overtake her, she suddenly let out a little scream and collapsed onto the cold, hard slabs of stone at my feet. I was terrified. I had to get away from there. So I ran as fast as my legs could carry me back into the lodgings. A green overcoat? Well, that's exactly what the woman in the print was wearing. Oh my, a photographic print in full color. What will the word come to the next? The defendant has done nothing more than admit he fled the scene of the terrifying incident. That does not mean he's guilty of the heinous crime of stabbing the woman in the back. There was nobody else in that time, just two of them, the victim and the accused. In other words, there was nobody else who could possibly stab the woman. In fact, the accused concedes. It seemed that the cross-examination could prove to be pivotal, counsel. Proceed, please. Yes, my lord. Nothing for it. Let's first take a look at the evidence. No, nothing will be useful here. I can have book reports. Consumer Natsume, a sum of 2 shillings tendered and receipt of a picture of a square lokik, a meal for a gabaro, Canterbury earnings. Let me read the first part. Details: young woman, olive green, scalp early 20s, pavement Brow Road. Reporting officer, Rolly Bait. Victim remains unconscious. Apart from a single stab wound, yeah. Well, another thing, in her like I remember from his brother, there's no such thing as coincidences. I remember that there was a married couple we interrogated. And the wife is actually one of the jurors. The knife is very clean, to be honest. Oh, look here, Miss Naruhodo. Just the tip. A small piece of the blade appears to be missing. You're right. Well spotted, Mr. Sato. I wonder what could have happened to it. Yes. You don't think it could still be lodged in the victim, do you? Oh dear. I hope not. That sounds terribly painful. Could also be a reason for comatose. Nope. That does nothing. And we can't get anything here. Alright, pray do go on. I have to use this cross-examination to turn the tables here. It's our only chance. I said, it was 5 o'clock in the afternoon when the incident occurred, and there was unusually light fog. Visibility was reasonably good, and there was no one else but the victim and the accused. Out of the blue, the victim was stabbed from behind and subsequently collapsed on the pavement. The accused ran off, scattering his belongings all over the floor. Those being a number of old books he just bought. It was on the way home from the bookshop, it seems. Hold it! The defendant apparently visited a second-hand bookshop on a daily basis. Yes, so I understand. A shop full of old English literature. I commend the accused on the lofty subject matters of his scholarly attention. The bookroom was stacked floor to ceiling with those musty old books. Can you tell us more about the bookshop in question, please, Inspector? Well, if I must. I'll have to ask, do you look at the street map again, I'm afraid. It's close to second-hand bookshop to the accused's lodging in this place here. The Bourbon Books. A little place on the corner of Briar Road and Meerschaum Street. It happens, the accused is currently living in lodgings in the other side of Briar Road, at the opposite end. Which means it doesn't take genius to work out the route he'd have taken home. Something like this. Yes, I concur with your conclusion, Inspector. The defendant would certainly have passed the scene of his crime on his way home on a particular shop. Mr. Naruhodo, I think that was what the Inspector just told us. could turn out to be vital importance. Yes, I agree. The most important point that the inspector just made being... your books. Inspector Gregson, may I ask you a favor? What? Would you kindly add the name of the bookshop to your formal testimony, please? I believe it may be vital importance. May it be? Oh, well, you know, I mean, yes. It could be a very important clue. Very well. Not that I can see it being of any great significance, but please revise your testimony accordingly, Inspector. Yes, sir, my lord. Whatever you say. Could the man be any more sardonic? He was on his way from the Bourbon Books, a second-hand bookshop he apparently patronizes.
Objection!
If I could just stop you there, Inspector Gregson. What is it, Sunshine? I'm a busy man, you know. This is the receipt we found from Mr. Natsume's room. It was issued on the day of the incident, and the details here of the purchase are 3 second-hand books. And you found that in the accused's room, did you? Yes, but the point is not where the receipt was found, but the name of the shop printed on it. Go on. The receipt was issued from a bookshop called Your Books. Your Books? Y-R-O-R-E, I presume. Yes, my lord. So Mr. Natsume did indeed purchase a number of books at the second-hand bookshop that day. However, the bookshop in question was not Bourbon Books. Eh? What? Inspector, do you know of this other bookshop? Yes, sir. Your Books is another second-hand bookshop, not far from Bourbon Books. It's just that... well, it's such a small place, I didn't think the accused would have known about it.
Objection!
But in fact, that is the bookshop which the defendant visited on the day in question. And the receipt proves it.
Objection!
Yes, for what difference does it makes? Wherever the man purchased his tomes, it makes no difference in the final analysis.
Objection!
I disagree. I mean, after all, just say it out loud. I have a street map here. If that might be of help. Oh, yes. Thank you. Have a look at this, please. The defendant has been returning from Bourbon Books. Then yes, he would have almost literally passed the place where Miss Green was attacked. However, if we take into account the fact that he was actually at another bookshop, Your Books, it may very well turn out he wouldn't have passed that location at all. Could that be true? My, it rather depends on where this other bookshop is, but I do declare it may be a possibility. Is that right, Mr. Lawyer, sir? Is what you said? Absolutely. It absolutely be right. Only if the bookshop takes another route. But Gregson, where is Your Books' establishment? Well, obviously we looked into that. It turns out that Your Books... yeah, shoot. Is here on the next corner from Meachausen Street going east. I was afraid that wouldn't help. And there you have it. As you can clearly see now. Oh. At least you got a new wine glass. I really like this. Zykes. Yeah. To your future career in the circus. Funny you bring that up. Put your glass down now, or I'll put it down for you. Alright, didn't think I needed to spell it out, but here we go. If the accused was coming home from Your Books instead of Bourbon Books, there's no doubt he still would have passed the place where the victim was stabbed. Yes, thank you, Inspector. Allow me to reiterate from I learned. If someone's slow, Nipponese friend, wherever a man purchased his musty tomes, it makes no difference in the final analysis. Alright, let's see something else here. As expected, you can't fool me, and don't suggest you try. What you say? I had enough of this now. I beg your pardon. Terribly sorry, but would you mind repeating that? Mr. Naruhodo, let me give up. What do you mean? The prosecution's assertion is correct. That members of the jury may very well decide that Natsume is guilty. Ah, she's absolutely right. You must think. One can consider the assertion put forward by the prosecution very, very carefully. The claimed Seki-san must have passed the location of the incident on his way home from your books, but... the assertion made by the Constitution is fundamentally flawed. Explain yourself, counsel. Yes, my lord. You can see what I mean on this map. When returning from your books to his lodgings, Natsume could have followed the route suggested by the prosecution. However, that isn't the only conceivable route to take between the two places. If the defendant used these streets, look what happens. He arrives back at his lodgings without passing the location where the victim was attacked. That's not what I was thinking. I was thinking he could have used the other side of the road. He could have crossed at first hand. Objection! And that could have been better off for him. Talking back to a clown is a fool errand, of course. However, I feel compelled to point out that the route is what commonly referred to as the long way round. On a cold winter's night, why would any man choose to take a long winter route home? Well, the answer is extremely simple. He wouldn't. In other words, he didn't. The accused took the obvious route back home to his lodgings, and the obvious perpetrator of this crime. Objection! But, aha, yes, I've got it. Obviously, we must ask the man himself, ask Mr. Natsume which route he took home. I have already informed the court of the accused's response to such questioning. He claims that he has no recollection. That's right. As I said, the bloke seems to spend his time outside wandering aimlessly from A to B. At that day was no exception. He says he doesn't remember where he was or which route he took home. I don't believe this! I don't believe you've actually thought of another different possibility. I thank you, my learned friend, and suggest that we do not waste any more of this court's time by wandering aimlessly around the subject. Pray, what may incite jurors? But even if that is the case, the defense still... I agree with Lord Van Zykes. Wholeheartedly, need in every way. What? I don't believe it. Does this mean... we members of the jury are completely convinced now? Very well. In that case, I hereby call upon the members of the jury to present your findings to the court. Guilty!
Guilty. 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 Guilty.
Okay, they actually dubbed their voices here. But none of this hurts. But from my perspective, their markers are still flawed. And I also saw this coming. We're doing that again. To the insightful members of the jury, I applaud your brave resolve. You serve Queen and country admirably. Mr. Naruhodo. Come on, wake up, do that again! This isn't over yet. I still have one last chance to sway the opinion of the jury. I have to tip the balance of those scales the other way. I have to turn this around. Somehow. Those are the eyes of a quarry, yet not willing to give up and die. So I presume you intend to wield your rights again in this trial? Rights of the defense were in the antiquated British law that should have been buried long ago. Call it antiquated if you will. But the defense's prerogative to carry out an assembly examination if it so chooses. Borough Council, in accordance with the letter of the law, we shall proceed with the summation examination. Are the members of the jury ready, Mr. Foreman? Of course, we're ready. He's a banker. I'm awful familiar with the Nepiness Whippersnapper and his ominous refusal to throw his alley. Very well, then. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, we will each explain on which grounds you have determined the defendant to be guilty. Let's go. For jury's contentions. For pity's sake, the little Nepiness oddly admitted himself, didn't he? If he said that a woman in the green collapsed before his eyes, it could only have been the victim. The man who wouldn't have gone around the houses on his back home from bookshop, non-winter. So the poor woman was attacked from behind, wasn't she? How dreadful. I really don't care. Can't we just wrap this up now? I got more work to be doing. Excuse me. Is that the woman in green collapsed before his eyes? Are they already contradiction? Your books, yes. Nice shot, that. But Bourbon books? No, not worth a visit. Not even... I thought it's trivial! With only minor exceptions, the reasons finding the defendant guilty are all too clear. When the stabbing occurred, the only two people at the scene and the victim were the accused. But Bourbon books? Not worth a visit. The man wouldn't have gone around the houses his way back from the bookshop, non-winter. And the accused himself has admitted to seeing the victim in a green overcoat sinking before his eyes. Furthermore, we have heard from the inspector that the defendant fled the scene. I must say, I would have ample grounds to convict this man already. Oh dear, even the judge appears convinced of Natsume's guilt. Mr. Natsume's guilt now. Ugh, why'd he have to run away like that? And how are we supposed to believe in some phantom attacker if nobody could see? This is impossible. How can I possibly make a case for this offense? Mr. Naruhodo, this is no time for grumbling. If you want to force this trial to continue... Yes, I know. I have to turn the tide. I must make the jurors change their minds. Well, 4 of them at least. Exactly. We have no choice but to forge forward. Have the floor, counsel. Begin your summation examination. Yes, my lord. He is a funny man. Whatever it takes. Come on, you can do it. Jury? Yeah, I didn't read that last part. For pity's sake, the Nepiness already admits himself, didn't he? If the woman in green collapsed before his eyes, it can only have been a victim. Why, it can only have been the victim. The man would have gone around the houses in the way back on winter. Actually, that's not as contradictory as I thought. It can only have been the victim before his eyes. She was in green.
Hold it!
You're right at the time of the incident. The defendant admits to having seen someone wearing a green overcoat walking ahead of him. Well, quite. That's precisely my point. Clearly, that someone wearing green was the victim. And clearly, that fine Nepiness man with the determined match is the culprit. But let's not forget, ma'am, the defendant vehemently denies attacking the woman. Oh, well, of course he does. He admits to stabbing her. His life is over. This man is obviously a liver-faced coward, honestly, claiming the woman simply collapsed before his eyes. But that's a lie you're suggesting. Do you not think he would have concocted something more credible? Oh, he couldn't? After all, you are foreign. Let's say that goes through your funny little minds. I can tell you what's going through my funny little mind right now, but you wouldn't like it. I do declare this man has already made an admission. He himself stated that there was nobody else around. Surely the conclusion is obvious. No one else could possibly commit this awful crime. Ugh. no one else could have done it. The accused must be in the man. Really, it couldn't be more simple. Your argument is compelling in its simplicity, I must admit. Oh my, you're too kind, my lord. That went well, for her.
Hold it!
Let's see what he means by that. Excuse me, but aren't you... Yes, that's right. I was in the witness stand myself just 2 days ago. Yes, I had a feeling I knew your face. Or the sight of it, anyway. If I remember correctly, you're a banker, aren't you? That's right. After the gold rush down under, I came back to London to work. And it was all going swimmingly until you started fusking around. Brute Fairplay was a man of repute. Sorry? Don't think I've forgotten how you treated me the other day. You had me and that young hatter pegged as criminals. Oh well, you know, water under the bridge. Now there's all sorts of rumors buzzing around, and the police have been badgering me non-stop. If I could turn back to the clock. Oh, anyway, I don't know about the hatter, but at least I'm in the clear now. I'm free to make up my own minds about who's guilty and who isn't. Thank goodness. Alright, maybe I struggle to change this man's mind, given our awkward history. Oh dear, I wonder what's become of Mr. First now. Woman was attacked from behind, wasn't she? How dreadful. I don't care. You're just now, I've got work to be doing. I mean... My most logical assumption is Well, I guess she said only I've been the victim. I'm going to see if that works. Those two statements are clearly contradict each other. I'm sorry, but I've formatted the jury. I have to object. That's complete nonsense. What? I'm a banker, don't forget. An educated man, and there's no contradiction as far as I can see. Quite so, Mr. Foreman. I will not permit wasteful attack against the good members. There was nothing whimsical about that. It's very important to listen carefully to every juror. Yeah, this is harder than last time. I guess I could pit these two.
Objection!
No. That didn't work either. Jeez. Okay, obviously juror number 5 has... This is what makes it hard. He has no... We can't really contradict him. He doesn't have a lie. It's just a blatant opinion. Your bucks. Yeah, shop. It's not worth it, they said. I guess I can pit him up against that.
Objection!
I'll see if that works.
Hold it!
Jesus! I guess we can press number 5. A man's life is on the line here, sir. This will take as long as it takes. Don't get clever with me now, son. My life is on the line too, and so is my family's. Ah. The likes of you won't understand, but a laborer like me can't afford to take time off. If I don't work, don't eat. And neither do my wife and kids. Oh, I see. That must be very hard. I got a union every morning to find out what needs to be doing. If you're late every work taken, that's tough. So this time of year, there's water and gas supply pipes bursting left and right and center. They're after cheap labor to get the roads dug up to fix it. It's a hard slog to dawn dusk, is it? So, you were out digging up the roads on the day of the assembly as well, were you? That's right. In fact, if I remember rightly, it was just around the corner from where it all happened. By the old bookshop it was. What? Another coincidence? That's right. Near Shankum Street it was. Like Shankum Street. On the map, Mr. Naruhodo, there are only 3 named streets. Juror number 5, I need you to add this information to a formal statement, please. What's the point of that? Can't we just get this business over with now? But please, sir, it's important. Fine, I'll do it then. When the day it happened, I was digging up Meershakem Street from dawn till dusk.
Objection!
There we go, the music stopped. Those 2 statements are clearly at odds with each other. At odds, Counsel? Explain yourself. Please don't point. It wasn't me, I swear! What? I just wanted to get this done and dusted. Well, juror number 3? Oh, me, sir? What do you mean? Juror number 5's words are now extremely significant. Let's take a moment to consider the implications of what has been said on our map on the local area. On the day in question, Mr. Natsume visited to purchase second-hand books. Yet on the same day, we now know that works were being carried out on Meershakem Street, making it impassable, which means that the defendant's route home could not be taken to him along Meershakem Street and Briar Road. Oh yes, of course. What do you think, sir? Well, yes, you can't argue with that really, can you? We mustn't have good 2 yards for more of the pavement up. Every gentleman and gentlewoman that came along had to turn back and go the other way. So the only conclusion to this, the defendant must have taken longer route back to his lodgings. Yes, I suppose he must have. I suppose that must be right, eh? Juror number 3, you said the following. The man wouldn't have gone around the houses, we'll be back from the bookshop, but we see now that he had no choice. Yes! My lord and Mr. Judge, sir, if I may? Yes? I don't think in all good conscience I may say the man's guilty now. Yes, I'd like to this trial to continue so we can get the bottom of what really happened. What about you, sir? Who? Me? Well, alright then. If there's a hole in the prosecution's argument, it should be filled in, that's what I say. There we go, we're getting somewhere. That's a relief. Well done, Mr. Naruhodo. That was wonderful. We managed to change a couple of minds at least. It strengthened our position somewhat. Yes, and we'll be prompted the other member of the jury to their stance at what? Now, if only, we could just identify one more clue or discrepancy that could make them stop doubting Mr. Natsume. We might be able to tip the balance completely. Yes, that's exactly what we've got to do. Lex is looking like he's going to bring the trial to an early conclusion. That's what we have to prevent. Whatever means at our disposal. Thank you, Counsel. On with the examination, please. Yes, my lord.
Hold it!
Him? Sorry. Fold it, you said. Fold what? No. What I said was hold it. What I wanted to ask was, do you visit your books often? I like the old books they have there, yes. I enjoy reading them over a nice cup of old tea. That's my daily routine, you see. Same thing every day, including the day you're all talking about. At what time did you visit your books on the day in question? Well, I was picking out books in there all afternoon, and it would have been just before 5 that I left. That's my daily routine, you see. The same thing every day, including the day you're all talking about. Just before 5, you say? Exactly when the victim attacked. Are you sure about the time? Oh yes, no mistaking there. I remember it well. I'm not about to forget the day in a hurry, not after the dreadful time I had. What do you mean? Well, I was walking down Calabash Road when I slipped on some ice and donked my head. It's always worse after the snow stopped falling. That's when it was most slippery. Knocked myself clean out, I did. I realized though, number was up. Wait a minute, let's get me this straight. This happened on Calabash Road? That's right. I live in Cornpipe, you see. Heading down Calabash Road is the quickest way for me to get back from your books. Junior number 6, I must insist that you add this information to your formal statement. It may be very well extremely significant. Sorry. Extremely sick? No, I'm quite alright now. We've changed 2 of the jurors' minds, Naruhodo. Yes, 2 more to go. They're finishing blow now. It's time to turn the tables here. I wish we knew how to do a Sasatsu takedown. I suppose your words will have to suffice for now.
Objection!
This might be awkward, but he could be a woman. Does this mean show a flaw in jurors' reasoning? A flaw? What are you talking about, counsel? Well, juror number 2? Juror number 6? Whatever you do mean, sir. I think perhaps the old man didn't hear you. Unbelievable. It's not like I was loud or anything. At least in one fact which can be sure here. Bookshop receipt found out the defendant's room as clearly indicates on the day of the attack. He had been to your books and purchased a number of second-hand titles, then he returned home on foot. But the man said he had no recollection of his return journey. That's correct. But what he remembers seeing is someone appeared in front of him on the way. Someone in a green overcoat, who suddenly collapsed on the pavement before his eyes. Yes, well, we are all aware that the poor young woman was stabbed, obviously.
Objection!
Can we really be sure of that, madam? Whatever do you mean? I'm sure that you heard juror number 6 account of what had just happened to him that day. That same afternoon, there was somebody else apart from the victim, who was wearing a green overcoat and fell over on icy streets in the neighborhood. Oh my! My goodness, you mean. That's right. I'm referring, of course, to you had the heart of hearing juror number 6. Are you really suggesting that the person in the green overcoat whom the defendant saw collapse in front of his eyes was that jolly old gentleman on the end of the bench with me today? That is entirely possible, yes. After all, the old man has a somewhat similar build to the victim. Well, look at that. My goodness me. Sorry, you need a pee? And crucially, you know precisely where the old man in the green overcoat fell. On Calabash Road. Therefore, if the person who Miss Natsume saw collapsing in front of him was in fact the juror number 6, it means the defendant must have taken a long routine back to his lodgings. That's true, then clearly, the crime scene on Barra Road where the woman was stabbed was not on his way home. Oh my. You idiot old man. If you had been so deaf to be roaming around here, we would have boxed this hours ago. And really, what were you thinking wearing such a befuddling coat? What did you say to me? It's a crime of the elderly to walk in the streets these days? Is it crime to slip over the ice? Is it a crime to keep up with the latest styles and wear a beautiful green overcoat? Is it? My lord, I do hope it won't cause any inconvenience, but... You'd like to change your leaning? I presume. I do declare that I would. I should like to call it a verdict not guilty. Thank you. And I would too! What? It is a crime to change your mind. Is it? Well... we won that again. Well, that summation examination has concluded with a rather large shift in my opinion. The ayes 2, the noes 4. So noes have it. Not guilty, they say. Which means we no longer have a conscience among the members of the jury. The trial will continue.
Objection!
Knew it. He's done this so many times I find predictable. Could be some trouble for me to drink on my hallowed child's moments after raising an objection. I wanted to crush it in disgust. Pray forgive the discourtesy. Lord Van Zykes! It seems I must retract my earlier remark. What do you mean? I mistakenly credited these jurors with the intelligence and described them as insightful. Yet we have just witnessed them falling for a cheap trick performed by an Eastern entertainer. Whatever do you mean?
Objection.
I haven't tricked anyone. I think I said it's the truth. Indeed. Stalwart Junior number 5, with undoubtedly repairing the road, he claims. I believe you said it was good 2 yards of the pavement which you have excavated, sir. That's right. Took me a whole day. They paid me a measly tuppence for it. How many didn't learn Nipponese, friend? Tell me. Do you have any notion of the distance that 2 yards represents? Well, if I'm honest, I don't have a clue now. 2 yards is a little less than 2 meters. Less than 2 meters? That's not much at all. In other words, a distance readily vaulted by anyone with a moderate vigor. Would you not agree, my stalwart friend? Me? Well, I can't say you're wrong. No. What? And you did your perchance erect a sign to prevent pedestrians from passing the side of your works? I wouldn't dream of it. What a waste of time. No Christians would have had me hope of passing away. We just turn the general foot back when they come. Just jump right over us. All the time. The accused is no gentleman, as far as I can see. I've little doubt, however, he could have sprung over 2-yard trench in his meanderings around the town. Is that true? Is it? The incontestable truth is that the books just purchased by the accused were found at the scene. There can be no doubt on his way back to his lodgings, Mr. Natsume walked down Briar Road. Crushed in a single sentence. And, old man. Cold man? You can't talk! You can't... You say that around 5 o'clock in the day question you slipped and fell on the Calabash Road? Pray, was there a suspicious-looking Nipponese behind you at the time? Oh, I can't say I remember. You don't remember? How about a wager, my learned friend? You say it was this old man who the accused saw, but I would lay 1,000 to 1 against you being able to prove it. I do, as long as you say what the names of the books are. Might be important, but would you like to explain yourself? My lord? If you suggest a trenchant argument of your sleeve, why in the world that you not profit? Yeah, it's summation examination. I want to give this young foreign student the sightseeing experience he no doubt came for. I want him to see for himself how the opinion of the jury is so readily swayed. But now my hospitality has its limits. They have been reached, I feel. So, my learned friend, today's sightseeing tour of London is now over. What are you talking about? He took his coat off. My lord. The prosecution requests permission to call its next witness to stand. Granted. Bailiff, bring forth the witness. Its next witness. Miss Naruhodo, do you not remember? We've been told on the several occasions that there were eyewitnesses to the incident. Yes, I remember. One of them being a Scotland Yard policeman, no less. I'm afraid that's likely to be the prosecution's next witness. Alright, no matter who Van Zykes brings up to the stand as witness, and no matter what they say, I believe in Suzaki-san. He knows he's innocent. I'll keep believing to the very end, and this bell's over. Aw, man, they are going to cut it off. No, they're not! They're not! Witnesses, please state your names and occupations for the court. Constable Roy Bates, sir. Sir, nothing to report on the street, sir. I'm Miss Beat. Patricia's my name. Mrs. Beat. Patricia's my name. I'm proud to say I'm this young town hero's wife. What's the story here? Well, in truth, we've not been married long. In fact, we've celebrated our first anniversary only the other day. Let's go to people. Yeah, newly married, alright. No, it was your husband I was asking about. He seems tired. Hardly surprising. What's behind an honorable occupation? Patrolling the beat is the most demanding work in the world. Oh, really? I'm sure I've heard that before, actually. Indeed. Apart from the rare days off, our gallant officers trudge themselves 20 miles a day, you know. Patrol boarding houses and pubs, we collect the taxes, serve the street, check the meters are already true. And they're responsible for keeping the streets clean, and lighting and extinguishing our streetlights. There are a number of items on the list that don't sound much like policing duties at all. I wouldn't be falling asleep on my feet, I'd have been collapsed long ago. But it goes without saying that the policeman's primary duty is to apprehension of criminals. Even when he's off duty, a constable is expected to investigate and resolve any crimes on his beat. For the legends, Bobby is a man of honor. And a man of slumber. On the day in question, this man and his wife were walking down the Briar Road in the opposite direction, and they witnessed an incident as it occurred. Is that not correct, Mr. and Mrs. Beat? That's right, sir. Isn't it, really? Constable Royal Beat, sir! Nothing to report on the street, sir. What a great witness he's going to be. Very good. I'd like to hear your formal testimonies now, please. You will tell the court exactly what you saw on this afternoon of the incident. Yes, sir. What was this, sir? It was our wedding anniversary, and Rolly was taking me out for a meal. There was no time to change after work. Anyway, two silhouettes appeared on the fog on the pavement in front of us. All of a sudden, one of them just collapsed in front of the floor. The other were scattered something before running off. We ran straight over the course, and we went for help in a nearby police box. I was definitely the Japanese man in the dock. One of us saw him clear as day. Well, this is extremely compelling testimony, I must say. Oh dear. This policeman and his wife are claiming to be positively identified Mr. Natsume at the scene? If the testimony is true, the alternative close of events you established in the summation examination will be quashed. It's definitely a fact, because the alternative was never viable in the first place. Let me check the testimony. The second and fifth statements contradict each other. I hope I'm not the only one that picked that up. One unfortunate thing, and on your wedding anniversary too. I know, but still managed to get out for the evening with my man. I thank the Lord for that. Gosh, the life of a London Bobby sounds very hard indeed. Indeed, however, this cross-examination will be over in minutes. You may well have time for rest this afternoon. What do you mean by that? My learned friend, the witness saw the face of the man fleeing from the scene. They are testifying under the oath of without a doubt the accused Mrs. Natsume. And one of the witnesses a policeman, no less. So you appreciate the gravity of the situation, I'm sure? Except that the man's so tired, his wife has to do all the talking. Enough preamble. Counsel for the defense? Commence your cross-examination, please. Yes, my lord. Yeah, we only got 2 strikes because of that confusion on that. I forgot its name. The jury. It goes a little ill. It's a Japanese man in the dock. That's clear as day. Let me think again. We ran straight over and then went for help at a nearby police box. Let's see what that scattered something is. Scattered something? What do you mean by that? Oh well, I couldn't quite make out what it was like at time. But then when we got closer, we realized what it was. Didn't we, darling? Well, oh yes, that's right. It was some old books. I see, old books. Yes, sir! The culprit dropped a number of them, around where the victim lay on pavement. Indeed. The clear picture here in this photographic print. The wrong Japanese man did it when he did the deed.
Hold it!
Let's not forget that it remains to be established that the defendant was indeed the attacker. But we saw him. It was the man in the dock without question. Sir. The mustache, the hunched back, the cat-like eyes, the taunt mouth, the snub nose. Everything. Any more insults you want to throw in? That's right, he looked down at the poor defenseless woman with the terrifying, intense eyes. And then suddenly he threw his books on the pavement and ran away. I see. This is tough. They seem as though they're telling the truth here. May I remind the court that this is ambiguous testimony comes from the policeman and his wife. Now please, continue. Yes, sir. There's no time change after work.
Hold it!
Let's see. 2 silhouettes. That's right. They were coming towards us, walking up Broad Road in the opposite direction. There was rather plump figure, but rather scrawny, thin-looking man. That does sound exactly like the victim in the picture in this print, and Miss Natsume. Yes, unfortunately it does. You're certain that this time there's nobody else nearby? Oh yes, quite certain. It was dark, but there are streetlights on Broad Road, you see. There's nobody else around at all. Isn't that right, my darling? Yes. That's right. Of course. There was a light fog on the ground. The Broad Road is dead straight. You can see any see a fairly long way down pavement. And there's the street lighting as well. I didn't see any other pedestrians. Before sleep takes a firm hold, your answer please, Mr. Beast. Are you quite sure of what you've just said? Yes, sir. As the cop who spends all day keep watch on the streets. I swear to it, sir. I'm sure. My love is Patricia is true. Oh, Pat. Oh, Raleigh. They're still maintaining there was no one else around the other victim and the attacker. It's starting to seem like they must be how it really happened. I'm beginning to seem like there's nowhere to run. Well, they didn't stop Miss Natsume, did it? He fled the scene all too convincingly. Thank you. I believe we have a reasonably clear idea of the situation just before the incident now. What happened on the crucial moments that followed? I don't think the first one's gonna be relevant. No, I don't want to try anyway. We might get lucky. No time will change after work, you say? Are you also members of the police, Mr. Beast? Oh no, sadly not. It's just a job for shopping young men only. Women, children, and the elderly can't even apply. Well, I think you can probably see why children and the elderly can't do the job, can't you? I think Raleigh looks ever so handsome in his uniform. It suits you on the ground, doesn't it, darling? I just finished my beat. Pat and I were heading back to the situation. I was actually planning on getting changed there. Is he talking in his sleep? He is just creepy. Oh no, Raleigh, I must prefer you in your uniform. Sometimes I don't recognize you when you see you in plain clothes. Oh dear, that doesn't seem healthy. Kindly adhere. I thought I let my dog out all the time. Oh, that's bad. Just need to get the TV back on again. Oh no, I pressed the... No, please don't do anything naughty. There we go, okay. It's back running. There we go, good. That's right, sir, yes. Although, I was fit to drop. Be still, to be honest. Spending the whole day on my feet. The policing my life, sir. I'm proud owner of this. I serve my city and I'm a queen to the end. What's that now? My warrant card, sir. Proof I'm a London copper. The noble founding principles of the force written upon it. As the render of all policemen are swoon dirty. I patrol the streets of London town and uphold the peace to a common man. Sir, for Natsume called, I cover 20 miles this every single day without fail and without grumble. Because I know. The putting in my boots is all Londoners nearly feel safe and secure. So, fighting crime doesn't appear to come into it then. So, just one particular day. I was looking forward to celebrating my 1st anniversary. Miss Beat put up a law of being married to a Bobby like me. She wanted to show my dear wife how much I care. Oh, Pat. Oh, Broly. Oh, what the charming couple. Their young love is such a joy to behold. If a little over the top, perhaps. And then, can you describe what happened next?
Hold it!
Let's ask the 4th topic, then. Was it your husband who went to fetch help? No, I went. I may not be a police officer myself, but I'm a proud wife of one after all. Isn't that right, my darling? You should have got some sleep. What? Yeah, yes, that's right. I asked Miss Beat to go. I was off duty on that point. But Bobby's never truly duty, of course, so I felt obliged to stay here and guard the scene. Very laudable, Mr. Beat. Preserving scene of crime is a task of considerable importance. So that's why I sent Patricia, you see. I told her where to find the right police box. Forgive my ignorance, but what did you mean exactly by the right police box? It's found on the crime's location, you see, as to who deals with it. When a woman was stabbed wasn't actually on my beat. So I told Patricia the way the police box for the beat the incident fell under she could go and report it. I ran there as quickly as I could, and asked for some help beyond duty. There was nothing more pungent than a young couple in love working together, you know. And thanks to your swift response, the case was resolved, and actions, the two model citizens. Oh, pleasure. You're making us blush. Isn't you, darling? Yes, sir. What Patricia said, sir. Let's move on, shall we?
Hold it!
You surely wouldn't have been able to see his face by the light of the gas street lamps, wouldn't you? We absolutely could. Us blinders have exceptional eyesight, I'll have you know. Right. The light of the street lamps was no more than enough. Your husband may not be liking that. My husband already told you that the fog wasn't light, didn't he? Babe, please stop you. Your husband might not be enjoying that. We're famous across the globe, I believe. But it's an absolute mess of those who have to live in it, of course. Oh, it is. When thick, you could even see the hand of your own arm. Yes, alright, I take your point. Now, could you stop shaking your husband about? The constant fog makes our eyes very sharp, you see. That's why we can tell you for sure and certain that's the little Japanese man we saw. Can't we, darling? Yeah, see, only a simple tug wakes him up. What? Ah, yes. It was the accused and no mistake. The mustache, the hunchback, the cat-like eyes, the taunt mouth, the snub nose. Unmistakable, sir. As far as testimony is cornered, there can't be any question. It was the second time they saw running away from the scene of the crime. So that's it, is it? That's their entire testimony? What do you think, Mr. Naruhodo? Well, I hate to admit it, but only hearing the testimony, it really does seem as though Mr. and Miss Beach saw what they really saw. So seeing me run away from the scene of the bar road that day. Yes, I feel the same. So if that's true, where does it leave us? The members of the jury are for sure to call guilty a verdict after this testimony. Oh no! Then what do we do? If Kazuma-sama were here... What are you trying to say? I'm thinking he would try to find a contradiction somewhere else in their testimony. What do you mean, somewhere else? If your statement about seeing Master Natsume is inequitable, calling that into question wouldn't help. But if you could identify some other part of their testimony which appears to contradict their facts, you might be able to discredit them, make the jury doubt if the pair's memory of the day is accurate. Oh, right. Put simply, we must focus on finding a discrepancy in their statements somewhere. If we don't, I'm afraid the trial might reach an early and unfavorable conclusion. Why do I have to always seem to go up against it? Mr. Lawyer, sir? Can I ask you something? Oh, yes, of course. What is it? Well, if you keep asking us all these questions about everything we've told you so, it seems like you don't believe our testimony. Is that right? Well, out with it. What? No. Oh no, it's really not that at all. My husband's police, but remember, I know what I saw. I remember every last detail, everything, like... Oh, I know. What about the books on the man's dropped? I could tell the names of every single one I could. Every single one. And you dare question how valid my testimony is? I think we're on the right track. That will do, Mr. Beat. No, I won't do it all. The Japanese lawyer has no idea what I'm capable of. I never decided to forgive him for insulting us. Don't think for a minute that Raleigh will. I really didn't mean to cause offense. Please put your husband's fist down. Perhaps you would like the opportunity to supplement your testimony, Miss Beat. Might that appease you? Oh, thank you, my lord. That would sell things nicely. Wouldn't it, darling? I can even tell you the names of the 4 books he dropped at the scene.
Hold it!
Yes, we know that there were books dropped at the scene. Crime, as you say. Let's purchase by the accused in nearby secondhand bookshop for the day question. I bet the police book, perhaps. I decided to have a good look over this area for good measure. I'm Fred Newsman's wife, after all. I did for Raleigh. And what was your husband doing at the time? I was just lying face down in the snow, getting some well-deserved rest. It works ever so hard, you know. Snow's not really well rested. Interesting way of guarding the scene of the crime. Well, Miss Beat, seeing as you've Yeah, let's get the point. What are the book's names? Thank you. I'd be happy to. Now, are you all listening? There was the picture of Munzer, somebody or other, and what's its yearnings, and then there was, a meal for someone, and the last one was definitely a thingummy's something. You see? Yes, I see there are 1-2 holes in your memory. Oh well, they are all along those lines, I'm quite sure. There were indeed books found at the scene of the tiles along those lines, as you put it. Well, what'd I tell you? I think it's very main the way. I've been implying that my testimony can't be trusted. Don't you agree, darling? Anyone put up... Okay, that's different fast. Anyone who upsets my Patricia will have to answer to me too. And he has a gun. Terrifying. Yes, she really is. So that's it, is it? Simply, we must find the spat somewhere. Actually, I do believe the wife's innocent. Forgive me. I'm my Patricia. Thank you. However, I must thank your memory that I now have proof. Oof. That he cannot be the culprit. Let me check again. Your memory's actually pretty good. Although, it's too bad you had to mention a fourth book.
Objection!
So, you're saying that there were 4 books? That's right, I remember all of them. Picture of the monster somebody, what's its yearnings, a meal for someone, and thingummy somethings. I'm sorry, Miss Beat. But there is a fundamental flaw in that statement of yours. Oh no, what flaw? Simply that, at the scene of the crime, there are only 3 books, not 4. What? It is a receipt from the bookshop where the defendant bought his books. Your books? Yes, and it details Mr. Natsume's purchases that day. As you can see, only 3 books are listed. Only 3? But no, that can't be! I remember seeing them. There are 4 books, I tell you. 4 dirty old books! Oh really? Have a good look at this photograph. Print of the scene of the crime. As you can clearly see it from this evidence as well, there are only 3 books. But I don't believe it. I saw them there, I swear it, I saw them! No, madam, I'm afraid your powers of observation cannot be relied upon. Grr. So I cannot be denied. Although you may saw what your defense saw, you could very well be mistaken. Oh no, no. No!
Objection!
It's plainly evident that it's your powers of deduction that cannot be relied upon, my learned Neppanese friend. What? What cannot be denied is that the 2 witnesses saw the accused running from the scene. The fact that you know very well you have no hope for disproving. Ah? So you've striven to avert attention from that by that din of the consequential discrepancies. That would be fair? Ah, he's right through me. But your plane has some quote against you. What are you talking about? It's quite simple. Let me explain with the toast. With the policeman's wife, an entirely accurate testimony in every respect. Oh! You see, what matter is not up for debate. At the scene of Briar Road, a total of 4 books were most definitely found.
Objection!
Whose side are you on? Photographic print? One of the books could have been hidden around on the other from the body. Nevertheless, he bought 3 books, not 4. That 4th book, unless he came back from his house and threw a 4th book there, not only would that completely rupture Patricia's testimony, but also that's proof that he's not the killer. Quite right. Only 3 can be seen in that print. Oh my god. Allow me to present another. One that shows... Oh, I can change something. The Lion's Pride. I don't believe it. It's the 4th book. Where have I seen the Lion's Pride before? As you will observe... Oh my god. I can't be correct on my former deduction, could I? Oh my god. This might get dark, but I might be very correct. I think the killer is none other than Joan Garadeb. Like I said, isn't it, my darling? Yes, sir. Patricia's always right, sir. I think you're right, too. I just got a very dark theory, but I can't present it now. Mrs. Beat, the child once again. My theory has a motive, and some evidence. Canterbular earrings. A meal for someone. A meal for Garrett. A Gabriella, in fact. The court has just heard. The witnesses remember the 2 books tells flawlessly. Save a few minor details. Mrs. Beat's power of recollection can only be described as exceptional. Did you hear that, Raleigh? The gentleman paid me a compliment. Yes, sir. Flawless, sir. Patricia is flawless. But there are only 3 books on the receipt. And Miss Beat mentioned 4. Oh god. Why is Vanessa clueless? The 4th book belonged to her. I'm sorry, counsel, but this did not seem odd. Why should the 4th book be omitted from the receipt? It's not odd at all, my lord. Photographic clearly shows the 4th book was found in the victim's clutches. In other words, it belongs to the victim. The victim was holding her own book? I wonder what became of the 4th book. Obviously, it wasn't overlooked by the investigating teams in Scotland Yard. I would hear as evidence. We will submit that mentioned photographic print for the court, counsel. My pleasure, my lord. The 2nd crime scene photograph has been entered on the court record. The 4th book has also been entered as evidence. The prosecution rests. Nothing else evident here. Let's see, lines. I knew it! I was right on. That's where I heard it before. I am correct. Look at this. The book has been badly burnt. You're right. You'd never been able to read it in this state, especially not on the latter pages. What a terrible waste. It was Mr. Garadeb's favorite book. That woman was the one he was cheating on. If the Magistrate was correct, Mo for homicide was because John Garadeb was cheating on his wife. And the one person he was cheating with was that woman, the victim. I'm right about this. I have nothing further to add. What? You seem surprised, my learned friend. But your resistance until now has been in vain. Entertaining, yes, but futile. Spurious Lungaruda accused the longings that you tried to establish in your summation examination, and the attempted discrepancy of the witness powers of recollection in your cross-examination? Futile. You see, everything we've said is true. In fact, they have. In fact, they've also revealed the true killer. I thank you a billion for that evidence. But perhaps ladies and gentlemen of the jury would like to reconsider their positions? Should the court waste any more time on the Neponest travesty? Or is the decision you have to make all too apparent already? You have heard the witness, and seen all through his evidence. The trial's run its course. Mr. Naruhodo, I'm afraid that we are in a terribly precarious position. I know, but if I fight back the wrong way now, I could very well make matters worse. Think what these guys think. What do you do now?
Objection!
I'm not done yet. No, my learned friend. It's over. As cross-examination was your final chance to establish a credible defense, and you failed. The die has been cast. There's no more room for debate. Well, it might be over as far as you're concerned, but... I can't think of the word to say it. If I may, Lord Von Zykes, it seems somewhat boorish to close down the debate at this point. Your insignificant little Eastern Isle must be a lawless hole indeed. For a lowly judicial assistant, I'm of the audacity to intervene in a moment like this. Oh? I am, to my shame, a still very inexperienced lawyer. So you'll have to forgive me, but I consider my assistant's advice essential to our opinions invaluable. Mr. Naruhodo? One of this land's greatest guiding principles is the tolerance. So, the court will hear you, madam. Go ahead, Miss Sato. Please. Very well. Pray, what insight can you give us? Why have we overlooked this matter, that you see fit to pursue further? Well, the court has been presented with new evidence, but only after the last cross-examination finished. I see. And you believe that this new evidence warrants a further examination, do you? Mr. Naruhodo, what do you think? It's just possible that this new evidence might be the decisive proof we've been waiting for. I agree with that. Announcer leading this moment? And of course, he's sure to ask the explain the crucial piece of evidence is why. We must take this opportunity to examine the new presented evidence as possible. Understand. And thank you, Ms. Sato. I'm guessing we were supposed to press wait. When it's one last chance here. Can't let it go to waste. Very well. The defense may present one further piece of evidence. Evidence that apparently offers a profound insight into this case, and it's hitherto to be overlooked. We can't present that.
Take that!
The evidence in this question is what we can see from this. Did I misclick? Shoot. The fourth book found the victim's hand.
Objection!
We have already discussed the fourth book at length. Other than being a victim's grasp at the time of the incident, no significance has been attached to it. Presuming the matter would further... Yeah... Yes, I'm afraid, counsel, I must concur with that prosecution on the matter. When I'm afforded you this opportunity, you led the court to believe that the evidence in question contained a hidden, undiscovered clue. So I must insist that you elaborate, counsel. You will identify this clue at once. Do I make myself clear? Oh, yes, my lord. It's, Mr. Naruhodo. I believe that prosecution is trying to avoid thorough examination of the evidence. Which means, they may very well be around the track. Yes, I think you might be right. So, counsel, precisely what is the valid clue to this case, in which the fourth book conceals? I'll show you, bloody right.
Got it!
I would like to ask the court to observe the back of the book in the question. The back? What do you... Oh, good gracious! It's been burnt to a crisp! So we have to ask ourselves, why was the victim clutching what was clearly an unreadable book? It's undeniably an extremely unnatural thing for her to have been doing.
Objection!
Unnatural, you say? And what of it, my Nipponese friend? Oh. How to concede this point, it bears no relation to the case, as nothing to discuss. So, should you wish to assert that fire damage with some valid clue to what happened that day, pray, do enlighten us all. What truth does this charred book hide? A charred book. There is just one possibility here, which can't quite bring myself to roll out. It's an outside chance, certainly, but worth a try. Alright, I'll explain my theory. Don't keep us waiting any longer then, Council. Explain the theories of yours. What are you suggesting that you can infer from this fire damage? Its owner. My lord, the burn on the back of this book reveals a startling truth about the book's owner. I beg your pardon? But we already know the book belongs to. The victim grasping with her hand, she fell on the floor. It's obviously hers. The question of how this book came to be in the victim's hand is yet to be answered. However, as thought to be the questions of whom the book really belongs to and where it originated, the defense has very credible answers. Good gracious, how could you possibly... Very well, I'll play along with this futile attempt to delay your inevitable demise. But do remember, the members of the jury may well burn you, and if your little gamble goes awry. The defense's response is here like the influence of the final outcome of the trial. So tell the court, who claims the owner of this book?
Take that!
The answer is that the book belongs to the couple who own the house where the defendant has his lodgings. A certain Mr. and Mrs. Garadab. The landlords? And whether this is some extraordinary coincidence, or some kind of fate at work, I don't know, but... all the people in London, one of 6 chosen for the jury, this courtroom today, is none other than Mrs. Garadab herself. Oh my goodness! Me? I think you must be mistaken, sir. I'm not Mrs. Garadab, Mr. Garadab. I'm not his maid. Things would have been so much easier if you would just drop the pretense. Alright then, how about a simple question for you? Have you ever seen this book, Mr. Garadab's house? I would never assume to know all that book he keeps, sir.
Objection!
Oh, don't be asinine. Your ring proves who you are. It's an outlandish behavior. The woman is cursed landlady, you say? You implicate this hardworking member of the public. You besmirch her without a shred of evidence? Your actions are unforgivable.
Objection!
This is not mere conjecture. The defense happens to know that on the day in question, at almost exactly the same time the victim was stabbed on the pavement below, another incident was taking place in the room on the top floor of Mr. and Mrs. Garadab's house. Good lord, what sort of incident, counsel? A fire, my lord. Afraid to say it was. Happened in the blink of an eye, you know. My whole place filled with smoke. Couldn't see a bally thing. Didn't take long for the fire to spread, and of course, the bally furniture started going up as well. Worst of it is, I lost my favorite, book called The Lion's Pride. The Lion's Pride? Well, job. It's the very same title that's subject of this debate. Oh dear me.
Objection!
This is resemble. You've told the court about a book by the same name was involved in the fire, which in that case wouldn't be reasonable to assume that it was burnt to ashes. And entirely unreasonable to infer that it magically removed itself from the scene of the crime. Perhaps it would make more sense if I told you that the cause of the fire was martial discord. Without going into details, it appears that Mrs. Garadab was considerably enraged. Apparently, she continued to attack Mr. Garadab even amid the flames. Oh, how awful! I can't even imagine being so horrid to the one you love. Can you, Raleigh? Absolutely not, sir! My petition would never raise a finger against me, sir. Had my favorite old novels in that case. All had soon the fire hold up the whole of them. That was it. Whoosh! Up in smoke. But then my wife started hurling them at me. There I was, back up against a window, under heavy enemy fire. Incendiary books coming 10 to the dozen. The man had his back up against the window? Had he had burning books thrown at him? Oh, goodness gracious! Are you suggesting that the book was thrown through a window and landed coincidentally at the scene of the crime?
Objection!
No. A thorough investigation of the surrounding area was conducted at the evening of the incident, and there were no report of Garadab's window pane being broken. That's quite true. We also saw no sign of broken glass when we visited the Garadab's household. but it's not conceivable that the window was open at the time in. Not even remotely. Now, forget the season, the chilling weather that accompanies it. No Londoner would ever leave a window open in the middle of winter. Ah! Does the defense postulate in this scenario at all seriousness, counsel? Do you earnestly claim that the book found at the scene was a flaming projectile thrown by Mr. Gerdev's wife? I believe it's a possibility, my lord. Not quite enough. Well, I hope that everyone can see you for what you are now, you little foreign trickster. You call yourself a lawyer, but you're just a coward. A mean coward. Really? Continuing on a little tiff to the whole neighborhood, alright? Honestly. Like that I'm merely posing as a maid for appearance sake. How could you? Nothing to do with this beastly case. Not any of it. All you've done is sully our family's name. No, I assure you, that was never my intention. Dragging an upstanding citizen's name among the mud and you're simply divert to failing defense? I should box your ears, that's what I should do. It's utterly unforgivable. Too right. Here we go. How long have we sat here now, listening to this nipponess, spouting out his fancy foreign series? But, I think about it, at the end of the day, only one person could have possibly stabbed the victim. Is that hunchback with the mustache, and he ran away out of the scene too. I do declare you're right. It's true. Yes! What did I tell you? Makes sense to me. Sorry? What's that? Well, will it appear that the ladies and gentlemen of the jury are once again in full agreement? What is your position, Lord Van Zykes? In truth, my lord, I feel that these have been unnecessarily protracted proceedings. But then, one must always exercise patience in order to savor the best vintage. No! Wait! The mystery of the fourth book still hasn't been... If the books are your predilection, my learned friend, study them on your own time. What? No, forgive the discourtesy this time. Ahem. In that case, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you will now state your individual decisions regarding the defendant's culpability of the court here.
Guilty!
Guilty.
We're doing this again, aren't we?
Guilty.
Guilty. Guilty.
Did the flame just reset? I guess they just decided to recycle the cutscene for sake's use. Thank you for that ambiguous response. That's twice now. It's over. Naruhodo, don't give up. Sasato, have you forgotten? The ball isn't over yet. You're not suggesting. Of course, the defense has the right to another summation examination at this point. You could still convince the jurors to change their minds. You have one more chance. My lord, the defense? Yeah. You believe you still have tricks up your sleeve? I don't intend to trick anybody. I intend to cover the truth. There's no time to be downcast. As long as I have the chance, I have to stay strong and determined.